All right, saying we're on the air now. Sorry if anybody's watching this. This is just a test. Just a test of the emergency broadcast system. No, this is a test of the Google Hangout system. Just trying to see if this is easier to do broadcasting with or better to do it with my OBS software. So let's see if I can see any chat action going on here. Nothing really yet. So looks pretty good. How's it look on your end? Hey, now I see you guys. Hey, what's going on, guys? How's this look to you? Is it decent? I'm still only seeing 720p on my end. I want to get it to 1080, and I'm trying to figure out why I can't live stream in 1080. I think I have the video card and the internet connection for that, so I'm not really sure why it's not letting me do that. So that's what this is just a test. Figure out how to do that. Let me see if my settings can be adjusted. Adjust your video quality, limit your bandwidth usage. Clear audio is good, right on. A little blurry. Yeah, I see that too, man. I don't know why it's blurry. It's like super clear on my Google Hangouts window right here, but then on YouTube, it's not clear at all. So it's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to figure this one out. Could be that there's other programs playing in the background. Not really, though. I don't have a lot open right now, so it's very strange indeed. Let me close out some of these windows. Let's see. Clear on your iPhone? Okay, cool. Yeah, it doesn't look clear to me. I mean, I'm looking right at it, 720, but that sure doesn't look like 720 to me. So, yeah, I'll figure it out. Just like everything, you suck at something in the beginning, and then you learn a little bit more every time you do it. But for those of you guys watching, I am going to do another review video tomorrow morning, first thing, and it's the last one I'm doing for a while. So if you haven't gotten your review yet, it's coming first thing tomorrow morning. You're definitely going to get it very soon. So yeah, definitely on its way, and you guys will get those final notes that I give the rest of you. I think we had like 25 or so left, so we definitely have quite a few going on there. So yeah, that'll be fun, and we'll kind of wrap that up. It'll probably be the last one I do for a little while because these ones really sort of kicked my butt. I mean, there's a lot of tracks that came through. It was a lot of fun, and it was cool to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more, and you know, hear your music and all that good stuff. But I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, and so to take out this kind of time. I mean, if you put together all the hours of the reviews I did, I think it'll be around like 8 hours, including however long it takes tomorrow. It's going to be around 8 hours worth of, you know, going through and reviewing a bunch of tracks, which is a lot of time away from some of the other things I really got to make sure that I keep as my priority. So I probably will do a different scenario next time. I think what I'll do something is that like I'll do a live broadcast, and if you guys show up and participate live with me, I'll review your tracks, meaning that, you know, during that certain, let's say 1 hour window that I offer, that you got to send me your track right then and there, and then I'll give you feedback. And if you missed the deadline, you missed the live hangout, too bad. You know, you got to catch the next one. That'll probably keep it a little bit better. And that way I want to, you know, encourage you guys. You guys are cool here that are, you know, tuning in live and checking it out. I want to, you know, reward you guys for doing that. I appreciate you guys showing up and being a part of all this thing. So yeah, I still see a kind of a blurriness to this. So it's not so great. So I have to try some more things out and see what I can do about that. I don't know if I can do anything about that, because I'm on a direct Ethernet connection here. This isn't like Wi-Fi or some, you know, slow connection. It's sound is not that good anymore. Okay, sound is clear on your part though. You're watching on a PC. Okay. Well, I don't know. My settings are all where they're supposed to be. I'm super cranked up on my yeah, I'm on auto. I don't know if it should be on. It should be on auto, I think, for the bandwidth. So the only thing I can think is I do have a video processing in the background of my computer right now, which might be taking some of that hard drive space. I have a MPEG stream clip actually exporting a pretty big audio or a video file. So maybe that's taking hey, what's up, Trevor? So you're saying Google Hangouts usually look like this? Haven't seen one that's higher quality. Really? I feel like I've seen 1080 Google Hangouts. I don't know where I've seen them, but I feel like I've seen them. And then when I do OBS, there's still also some quality as well, some issues with the quality. So yeah, I'm always trying to figure this out, if it's on my end with my computer, my internet connection, or if maybe we're still in a world where we don't get to do 1080. I know we can do 1080 live streaming. I know that's possible. But I'm just wondering what I can do to boost up my my power on this end. It could be my video card. I'm on an iMac here, guys, and I can't do anything about that video card. As far as I understand it, I think this is like built into my machine, and I don't think I can go swap it out. Maybe I could get some sort of a rig where I like connect an external video card to my iMac, which might be, you know, a big mess. I don't know if I want to even go down that path. So it could be a situation where I have to just upgrade my computer. Like I might actually just go have to do one of the Mac Pros, you know, the trash cans, and just boost that up. I know the iMac Pro though is coming out, I think in Christmas this year, actually in a couple months. Actually, I should look up when that's happening. But I think that iMac Pro is on its way, and that might actually be what I need. Yeah, I don't know what they have. 18 cores in an iMac, huge processors. Yeah, crazy graphics. That might be probably what I'm going to be upgrading to. Because I like the iMac. I like that it has this like built-in monitor. It's a nice. I have the 5K monitor, so it's like super clear, and I have plenty of real estate space. I never run out, even though I do have 2 monitors here. But I like iMacs. I think I want to keep with iMac. Yeah. Steve asked, what's the average age range of people that are in the licensing business? I don't think you'd find, like, I mean, the average would be, I guess, 35, but that means that there are people who are probably in their 50s and 60s doing this, and there's kids that are like 18, 16 years old doing it. So, what I normally find though is that younger kids, they just don't see the wisdom of why you should get involved in this business, because they are still stuck in the sort of, they want to be rock stars. And they're trying to be, you know, famous, and they want to get a record deal. So when I come to them and I say, hey, maybe you should try some music licensing stuff, or maybe think about this, it's not the sexiest pitch. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I mean, it's cool getting your track in the major TV shows, but, you know, we're not going on stage. We're not going on concert. I can tell you, you got to take my word for it. I don't have hordes of groupies, you know, women flocking at my door trying to get, you know, onto my my scene over here. Okay, so you're not getting credits on TV, on screens, and that kind of thing. So it's not a very sexy endeavor. That, you know, and if you're like a 20-year-old kid and you got a rock band and you got these girls getting into you, and, you know, you get all this attention and stuff, you can see that why somebody like me coming along and going, hey, maybe you should be wise about your future. It's not, they just don't have the wisdom. They don't have the ears to hear that. So there's not a lot of young people. Oh, you're 19, Amityville. I think I got your name right. You're way ahead of the curve, man. 19. I had my head in other places when I was 19. I was not even close to thinking about this stuff. So you're way ahead of the curve if you're thinking about that, man. But the cool thing about this business is it doesn't matter. I mean, I have students that are in their 40s, 50s. I think I have one syndicate member that might be in their 60s, actually. So I have people all over the place that are getting started. So the one thing that you do have working against you if you're older is you do need to get away from producing music that let's say you were learning how to make music in the 80s and you're still making music that sounds like it's in the 80s, probably need to stay away from that. You got to reinvent yourself, and you got to listen to current modern music, and it might be a little bit harder for you because you got to make sure that your tracks sound like they are coming out of the charts right now, the modern pop charts and stuff. But I can tell you, music libraries don't care how old you are. Supervisors certainly don't care. Nobody cares. The cool thing about this business is it's actually about the music, as opposed to the pop world and the radio world, whatever radios are anymore. I don't know if they exist, but you know, the charts and all that kind of stuff and downloads. You know, you got to have sex appeal. You got to have You got to be marketable. You got to be kind of young and cute. You got to have all those things going for you. Otherwise, you're just yesterday's news. And nobody wants anything to do with you. But in this business, they don't care about any of that. You know, you don't have to put your face on anything. You just got to have high quality music. And as long as you can deliver that and your music sounds current, you're good to go, you know. You started to make music when you were 15. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think probably all of us here were making music when we were really little, or at least we were interested in music from a really young age. I know I first started, what did I do? I played, I was in the, not necessarily the band, but I started taking piano lessons when I was like in 4th grade. Then I took kind of some drum lessons in 4th grade. So yeah, from very early ages. And I even remember when I was probably in 1st or 2nd grade, there was like a little toy drum set that like, I don't think my parents bought it for me, but we were in somebody's house and they had it. And I remember wanting to go play it and stuff. So yeah, if you're a musician, this is, you know, you've been doing music most of your entire life. The trick is thinking, how are you going to serve the world with your music? That's the big transition that a lot of people, maybe in their early 20s or late teens, they don't really think about that. They haven't really come up with that sort of a concept for themselves. And that's why I put out that video. It was just the last one that I did, which was titled "Musicians Suck at Business." And surprisingly, I haven't gotten any hate mail yet. So I'm waiting for you guys to tell me how I was wrong about that. But I think we all kind of understand that that's a big problem with musicians and producers, that we're not really that great at that. We're awesome at creativity. We're awesome at thinking about things creatively and producing music. But when it comes down to like what the hell you're going to do with your talent to actually make an income, that's something we don't really think about. So, but Stevie, all of this excites you. Right on, man. This should be exciting. I know it's not the yeah, I mean, I'm saying it's not really so sexy, but like, obviously, if you're seeing the potential of passive income through royalties, yeah, what's not to get excited about that? It's a really cool thing to see your tracks getting placed on huge TV shows and getting those royalties. So yeah, that's definitely exciting. But it's like the part of this that's not so exciting for some people. For me, I don't want notoriety and fame. I really have never wanted that. That's not interesting to me. But a lot of musicians do. I mean, that's kind of what a lot of musicians got into their craft for, is they wanted to be recognized. So this is not the industry for you. You're not going to get a lot of screen time. You're not going to get a lot of credits. And in fact, if you look at my IMDb, I think I have 1 IMDb credit for some online documentary movie thing that I did. It was like a webisode that I did some music for. But do I care? I really don't care. IMDb, who cares about that? I care about contracts. I care about checks. I care about actually succeeding. And so I don't really need to have a big fanfare of all the stuff that I've done. But I will be putting out a video in the next probably week or two. I'm going to show you guys some of the TV show, actually most of the TV shows that I've gotten my music in. I realize I've talked about some of them, but I'm going to go through my entire, all the cue sheets that my music has been placed in. And I'm going to show you guys what TV shows, everything that my music's been featured on, and some of the placements that I've gotten. Obviously, not all. It's not an exhaustive list, but it's basically all the ones that I could find through my ASCAP old membership. And ASCAP does provide all those cue sheets, so you can kind of see what your music's getting placed in. So, anyways, you guys can see, all the TV shows that at least I've been a part of, and you've probably watched some of these, or not most of these shows. So it's pretty cool to say that your tracks have been on these kind of popular TV shows, but you'll never see my name on any of these credits, or when you're watching these shows, you'll never know that I was a part of them. So, and I don't really care about that. That's not what I'm into this for. EKM, you took piano lessons for 5 years when you were 10, which back then you didn't understand it until now, and you're glad you learned about the theory and other stuff. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, Richie6, as far as checking out YouTube channels, I'm not doing that today, man. I did a lot of the reviews. I'm going to do another one tomorrow morning. And just stay tuned. If you want me to review your tracks, you got to stay tuned. I'll offer those kind of opportunities. But right now, I'm not doing reviews or checking out anybody's music or anything like that. Just kind of actually, this turned into a little bit of a Q&A session, which I didn't plan on. This is actually just going to be a little bit of a test. But hey, you guys are here, so we'll hang out for a little bit. Is it worth joining PMA? Yeah, I've heard great things. PMA is not something that I've ever gone to. I haven't gone to any of their whatever they are, the seminars or the get-togethers. I just had one, actually. But I work with people who are involved with that, and I think it's a really great thing. I mean, to get together with other people in the industry. I had one of my syndicate members actually come back and give a little report on it. He said he learned a lot. He was doing a lot of great connections, doing some cool things. So if you're new to the business, I think it's worth a shot. Like, go to one of their seminars, go to one of their get-togethers. I think you'll probably learn a lot, and you'll meet some people. These days, I'm pretty cool with my connections and what I'm doing, so I don't really feel this need to go out and, you know, travel all the way over there and spend the money and go, you know, whatever, sit there for a couple of days. I have a lot of work that I have to get done. So I just, this year, I actually had been invited by one of the guys that are kind of higher ups there. And, you know, I have too much stuff going on, so I couldn't make it this year. But one of these years, I told him maybe next year I'll try to just carve out some time to go. But from, you know, from most people that show up, they say it's great. It's a great thing to do. I think, you know, in some ways it's a good thing to sort of keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the industry. I'm definitely subscribed to them, you know, as far as getting their newsletter and, you know, all the articles and blogs that they put out. You know, you got to be plugged in. You got to know what's going on in the business. So it's definitely a good thing to stay connected to. Hey, Emily, how you doing? Cool. You're welcome, Gary. Glad you're liking this, man. Glad you guys are digging this. Cool. And if you guys have any more questions, type them in the chat. I got to go grab a, I thought I had a jacket in here, but I guess I don't because it is freezing in here. So I'll be right back. But chat, leave your questions in the chat, and when I get back, I'll answer them. All right. I have not gotten one extra question. Okay. Oh, so he's asking, Steve's asking you guys, what do you guys play? I mean, if you're asking me, I used to play, it's been a while. I still play guitar, as you can see back there, but drums were my number one thing. I always was a drummer in all of my bands. So that's where my foundation came from. So is it a bad idea to have the same song in multiple non-exclusive libraries as long as they're retitled? I'm guessing you meant to say retitled. It's not necessarily a bad idea, but too many of them, yeah. Like it's kind of like the principle of the more spread out you are with tons and tons of non-exclusives, the less valuable and exclusive obviously your tracks are. And my common, or I guess my core strategy for how to succeed is you probably need to partner with 2 or 3 exclusive libraries that can provide you ongoing work. Maybe you can add a couple of non-exclusives on the peripheral, because they can get you great placements. I work with 1 or 2 of them now. One primarily, a second one that I only feed once in a while, but one of them I'm still feeding fairly consistently. And I get great placements from them. They don't pay me a dime up front, but my royalties are pretty decent with them. And they're getting placements in pretty big shows. So they can definitely deliver. But yeah, exclusive ones are typically where I think you should spend most of your attention for sure. What do I think of Sound Exchange? I don't know what you mean by that. You gotta be more specific. You're welcome for the advice. Burn. Got it. Not a question. Cool. Do I work with people in person? If you mean like collaborating musically, it's been a long time actually since I've done that. I've worked with many singers, and I've done some collaborations. I'll be honest with you guys, like collaborations are great when you can do it remotely. I'll be honest with you. Like if I can send you just some stems and you can complete out a track and we can kind of make each other stronger, that's more kind of my style these days. I've worked with so many people that getting together, having them come into the studio, recording, and just all that stuff. It sometimes is just, it's sometimes not, I just don't like it. I'll be honest with you. It's just not something that I really enjoy doing that much. I find that the more that I can rely 100% on myself, the more productive I can be. If I'm kind of sitting and waiting for a vocalist to show up and they're late and then they don't really perform that well or something like that, it just gets under my skin, because it's like, man, all this time I could have been just producing another track. So, you know, it's something that I want to do a little bit more of, collaborating. And maybe I'll start exploring more of that as we go forward, maybe into 2018. But I don't do a lot of it. I'll be honest with you guys. It's not something that I'm looking to collaborate that often on. I know that it's probably something I should do. It probably would help me, you know, expand my, you know, my sound and obviously writing. I guess my thing always comes down to like, if I can do something myself, why open up the door to split my royalties 50-50 with somebody else, you know? So when it's a vocalist, I have to, right? If I need vocals, well, you know, either I'm going to write the vocals and do a temp track and send it to somebody and pay them for their performance, like an upfront work for hire fee. Or if they're going to be actually writing on my track, hey, I'm going to split the royalties with them. And my thing is typically, like, if you're putting vocals on my track and you're delivering hot, awesome vocals, we're doing this 50-50. I know some producers are a little bit more stingy. They're like 75-25 and all that stuff. To me, it's like, hey, this song wouldn't be a song without your vocals, so you deserve 50% of it. Even if it means you did most of the work, which probably it does mean that. You spent most of the time creating and mixing and doing all that kind of stuff with the music. But I don't know. I like to be fair with vocalists, especially if they're adding a lot to it. But when it comes down to instrumentally, the only time maybe I would do something like that, and I have done it in the past, is if like somebody's like an amazing piano player. I'm not that great of it. I'm really not a piano player at all. So if I want to have somebody like write me a couple of cool tunes or progressions, you know, I'll cut them in on the royalties, because it's like, hey, like your contribution here sparked an entire creative idea, and I can't do that. I don't have the musical chops on the piano to be able to do that. Or somebody that's just super beast with programming strings, you know, that kind of thing. Yes, I'll be all on board with throwing them on top of that. But most of the stuff, like, I do myself, you know, and most of the music that I create, like, I can just make it all myself. So I get a little bit selfish when it comes down to, like, you know, my writer share is my writer share, and that like really feeds me and keeps me afloat. So I'm a little bit stingy on, like, do I really want to just start cutting other people into my income source there? That's just my take on it. And I think other people would tell you it's better just to always co-write and just keep splitting your writer share out there and kind of expand your network by doing that. And like, hey, if it's something you need to do to kind of get tracks done and maybe kick yourself into more higher productivity levels, by all means, go for it. What software do I use? I use Logic Pro 10, man. Been a Logic guy since 2000 and probably 2006, 2007. I started with Logic 7, Logic 8, Logic 9, and I finally did Logic 10. I think, was it earlier this year or late last year? So I'm kind of late to the game with Logic 10. You said you're using Google Hangouts for live interviews on your radio show. It works great. Here's a question. How difficult is it to strike up a relationship with a publisher / sync lick company? I think you mean licensing company. Yeah. Okay. How difficult? You just approach them. I mean, I don't know if you've watched my 5-day course or you know about my approach to this thing, but watch the 5-day course. I think the link should be below this video. Most of them, they have a link right on their website, Music Libraries, and it'll say, are you a writer? Are you a songwriter? Are you a producer? Here's how you submit to us. Like, they'll tell you exactly how to do it. The question is, how do you do it, right? And that's the one thing that I do try to teach you guys is don't be a sort of spammer and just copy and paste the same thing to all of these libraries that you want to submit to. You got to do some research. And if you haven't watched that free 5-day course below, watch it, because I do talk about exactly how to do that research and to put together a good pitch for these libraries. Glad you're not the only one that feels this way about collaboration. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I want to do more because it's fun to make me, like, when you can find a partner that's like, they show up on time, they deliver. And that's why I was saying that sort of remote thing. Like, if I can work with somebody that I know, I send them tracks and they send me back something awesome. Oh, it's great. I love doing it. Even though you're not even in the same room, you don't have that sort of, like, you know, cohesion that way. But it's still wonderful to have, you know, somebody to help enhance your music. It's a wonderful thing. So I don't want to knock collaboration or co-writing at all. Do non-exclusive libraries typically allow you to publish your song on iTunes, Spotify, or will that confuse matters when it comes to claiming royalties? It's best to just tell them. Like, if you're going to go to a non-exclusive library and let's say you have an album that's already on iTunes through TuneCore or CD Baby, you just got to let them know, hey, this stuff is already out. Other people can buy it. Other people can download it. It's a liability for them. They need to be aware of that like, they're not the only, obviously it's non-exclusive. They know they're not the only place that it's stored. But if they want these to not be available online, you need to let them know that before you sign a deal with them. So just let them know about all situations that are involving your music. Some of them are going to be cool with it. They're going to say, of course, no big deal. Other ones are like, yeah, no, we'd rather it not be out there. We want it kind of to be exclusively for the licensing world. We don't want somebody just to be able to download that song and take it if they want it. You know, we want to have it more in the licensing world. Best policy is always be upfront with any library you're working with. Just let them know what the situation is. They'll tell you. If you have a track in a library, would a music supervisor contact you if you like the tune and they want it for a theme in the soundtrack and would want custom versions running through the movie? Would a music supervisor contact you? Now, so I guess you're saying in this situation that you submitted your tracks to a library and then a music supervisor goes to that library and wants to use it, would they contact you directly as opposed to just contacting the library people? More than likely, no. They're not going to go directly to you and bypass the library. They want to keep a good relationship with this library, so they're not going to want to cut you out of it. And that's what the library's job is, pretty much. That's what their job is to organize and sort of be the one-stop shop to be able to have access to all of these writers, so that the supervisor doesn't have to track you down and find your contact information and deal with all that. If you want to get more direct relationships with supervisors, the first thing you need to do, and I don't know how long you've been in the industry, LJ, but a lot of people, I want to talk about this for a second, because a lot of people want to go directly to the music supervisors. And that's a big question that I get. Like, how do I get directly to music supervisors? Well, here's the thing. How long have you been in this industry? That's my first question to you. How long have you been composing and producing tracks? And what kind of a reputation do you have in this industry? If the answer to that is 0, nothing, I'm kind of brand new, how many people do you think just like you are trying to reach out and network with music supervisors? You can't be the only one, right? There's dozens and dozens, 50, 100 different people. I'm not even a music supervisor, and you guys know I get dozens and dozens of people saying, check out my music, listen to this, listen to that. So there are just way too many unsolicited submissions coming through for any one of them to really, like, for you to know, like, if you're a music supervisor, is this person really legit? Is he going to stick around for a while? Is he just trying to get like a quick placement and then he's going to move on? Is this somebody that, you know, even is available? Like, are these even their tracks? Like, I mean, you got to realize that's also a concern. That how are they to know that you're actually sending your music? What if you just downloaded a whole bunch of stuff on SoundCloud, said it was your tracks, and now you're trying to pass it off as yours? So, you know, it's just like when you have unsolicited submissions and you don't have a reputation and you don't have a track record in this business, going directly to a music supervisor is going to be a very futile endeavor. I'm not going to say it'll never land you in sort of maybe a lucky situation where they want to pick you up and start using a lot of your music. But without a reputation, without like a track record behind you, without something of like, well, what have you done in this business to show that you're serious and that you're going to do this for the long haul, you know, the chances of you directly striking up a relationship with a music supervisor is very small, unless you've already got like connections. Like if you got a family relationship or you know a person who knows a person and they can set you up with a meeting, take advantage of every asset you got. And having connections is definitely an asset. So I definitely say do that. But I would say right now, if you're brand new, you're just getting started, music libraries are your best friend. Why? Because they accept unsolicited music from people they don't know, people who are brand new to the business, and they are expecting that. So it's not something that they're going to be like, you know, punishing you for the fact that you haven't had any music out there yet, or you're kind of brand new to the industry. They really want to make sure that your music is high quality, and obviously they want to not be spammed. They want to make sure the email you're sending them is custom tailored just for them, and really well thought out and right to the point. And you're not wasting your time by writing them like a whole book full of, you know, your life's details and all that kind of stuff. But as long as you got all that, you know, all those T's crossed, those I's dotted, music libraries are where you're going to get that start. That's where you start building your reputation, because you better believe who's surrounding music libraries. It's, you know, ad agencies, music supervisors, directors, producers. Those people are swarming around these kind of companies, and the more you build up your reputation in this business, the better your chances are that down the road, I can tell you guys, just being in this business, just being around, I've met personally so many music supervisors just because of the fact that it's like proximity. Just the fact that you're in this business, it's pretty small once you get on the inside. Most everybody knows everybody. And the fact that you've been around for so long and you've been keeping at it for so long, doors start just opening up for you, and people start taking meetings and relationships start developing that way. And I would say, don't get ahead of yourself. You know, don't think that you got to go meet Steven Spielberg tomorrow, right? Like, let's just take this one day at a time. Today, focus on what you can control. And what you can control is how high of quality your tracks are. Make sure your tracks are super fire, super hot. You know, don't take any excuses. Don't make any excuses for yourself, and boost up the things that you can boost up right now. All right, that was a long answer. Sorry about that. You've been trying to work with Songtradr website. How do I feel about them? Have you ever done work off there? I've never submitted anything on Songtradr, and the weird thing about Songtradr is I've heard from at least one person, maybe somebody else can verify this, that they said they've had like a couple of tracks placed, but then they never got paid for it. Like, so they got an actual licensing agreement signed or whatever, but then it never got paid. So I don't know, maybe they have minimums before they pay you out or something. I don't know what the situation is with that. You know, Songtradr, I think is, it's interesting. You know, I don't really necessarily have a positive or negative point of view on them. The only thing that maybe might be an issue for them is that I don't know if they have a sort of feedback process. So it seems like anybody can just upload anything to their website. And I've gotten quite a few submissions, even from you guys, when you send me some tracks that you put up on Songtradr, and the mix is blown out and it's distorted, and it's like, did anybody quality control this before they put it up on their site being available for licensing? So I don't know. That might be a liability for them going forward. I mean, unless they have a really good sort of filtering process where like maybe the cream of the crop kind of rises to the top for people to come and shop and license. But it seems like they're just kind of letting anything go up there. And I don't know. I don't know what their plan is for that, to make sure that, like, because if you just open up the floodgates and just let anybody post music on your site, if it's a licensing site, you know that you're going to get a lot of bad stuff. I mean, there's just going to be a lot of low quality stuff that just gets up there because they think, oh, I'm in the industry now. I have a track that can be licensed. Yeah, technically it can, but you know, if there's no quality control, and they're not helping you increase the production of your of your tracks, or at least maybe have like different tiers of like, okay, upload your tracks, and once we think that it's like at a certain quality, we bump it up to the next level of like, these are more visible tracks. Maybe they do. I mean, I'm kind of ignorant, I'll be honest. I don't really know how they're setting up their thing, but that would be an issue that I would have if I was working there, to go like, how do we make sure we don't just oversaturate ourselves and have tons of music that's not that licensable? So oh, Burn, right on. You said you got your first 3 tracks in a library last month, and it started with the crash course. Dude, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Results. That's what I live for. I love results. So thank you. And the rest of you guys, if you guys have some experience and you have some success from what you maybe learned, anything that I've said or done, please don't be shy about that. Let me know, man. That means a lot to me, man. I'm so stoked for you, and that's really cool. So I'm glad that you're making moves. Do I know HW Tower with Ableton? Nope, don't know that. Would you suggest Logic for someone that records all live instruments? It's not a stupid question at all, man. A lot of people say actually that Pro Tools is better for live recording. I've heard for like vocals, Pro Tools is a little bit better. Logic is definitely, I think, a MIDI friendly program, but I've recorded a lot of audio as well with Logic. I just think Logic is awesome because I've used it for so long, so I'm extremely biased. Obviously they don't pay me to recommend it. I just love it, and it works really great. And the fact that it's $200 and it comes with like just tons of awesome, cool sounds. I don't see why you wouldn't go for it. If you're brand new and you can, if you have a Mac, obviously it is a Mac program, and you got $200, you're in the game. I mean, my whole mixing and mastering course, I use nothing but stuff that came with Logic Pro 10. So yeah, you can definitely do some cool stuff in this business, even with just a simple program like that. Let me rephrase that. It's not simple, but it is. It's easy to use. I'll tell you that. It's very easy to use once you get past the learning curve. And I don't think it's a very steep learning curve. Compared to maybe some of the other ones, it feels like Logic is. And Apple's pretty good about that when they took over it and created it. They made it very, very intuitive. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I still do like Apple for. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm not liking about Apple these days, but their software seems to be somewhat still intuitive. Will this side of the industry last long enough considering how fast the music industry is evolving? Well, I'll tell you this, when this side, you mean music licensing? Yeah, music licensing and people paying to put music in their productions. Yeah, that's going to last for a long, 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 long time. When it comes down to like TV, movies, cable, no. You guys are noticing right now, probably you guys are hearing about the whole Weinstein scandal in Hollywood. And that's not the only issue that Hollywood's dealing with right now. Hollywood is in trouble. They've been putting out a bunch of just lackluster blockbuster films that aren't selling that well, and they're recycling the same thing over and over again. And people now are, you guys are watching me on your smartphones and tablets and computers now, so people are getting entertained and getting their info from other places now. They don't have to go to the theater, and they don't have to watch movies in the theater anymore. And a lot of great stuff's coming out on Netflix, you know, and Hulu and all that kind of stuff, and Amazon. So Hollywood has no longer got their monopoly on, you know, cutting edge entertainment. Technology is disrupting everything right now. You guys are watching. It's very, to me, it's very exciting. People get freaked out a little bit when they see a lot of change like this happening, but I get excited when I see crumbling infrastructure. Like, I love to see the fact that you know, what we used to just get spoon-fed our entertainment. It was like, well, okay, here's the corporate approved movie that you're going to watch this summer. Isn't that how it kind of always felt? It was like, here's the 17th version of Spider-Man. You're going to like it and you're going to watch it because we spent $400 billion on it and you have to watch it, right? And that's how it felt for most of my life. It was like, maybe not so much when I was really young, but lately in the last 10 years, I feel like, God, like this is the best you guys can do. It's just, you're just recycling things and it's just always these loud explosions and like a ton, way over, you know, too much CGI, not enough character development, not enough good writing, and then whatever acting, you know. So they really have sort of been milking this cow that used to be working for them for years and years and years. And these days it's not working so much. And now that you have this scandal happening and other things, you're seeing Hollywood crumble. So they're either going to just become obsolete or they'll have to reinvent themselves. And I think they have an opportunity right now, like the whole industry could reinvent themselves if they jump on board new technology, specifically virtual reality. To be honest with you, I think virtual reality is the next big, massive popping, you know, I don't want to call it bubble, but it is the big next wave of entertainment that's going to catch people by storm. And we're going to want actors for that. We're going to want great directors for that. We want good music for that. So they could completely reinvent themselves and be like, okay, because if you think about what is Hollywood, Hollywood is the movie theaters, right? I mean, yes, DVDs and streaming and all that kind of stuff, movies, of course, but their bread and butter is theaters, right? They need people to show up for that first opening weekend to recoup on those, you know, millions, if not billions of dollars that they've spent on, you know, these movies and stuff. So that's going away. Technology is disrupting that. So they better get with the times. They better start adapting. If not, Hollywood is over. But that doesn't mean that music licensing is over. So I want to make that distinction right now, that music licensing is actually entering a kind of the Wild West of a really cool opportunity. As I was actually talking, I don't know, Trevor, if you're still here, man, watching, but Trevor and I were talking about this, how he made this good point that there is, you know, we're in a sort of place where everything's indie now, indie music, indie movies, indie YouTube channels, indie everything. And that means that there are no more gatekeepers that can decide, you know, if you can be a part of it, if you can get your music here. Like right now, everything that I'm teaching you, unfortunately, has to be taught because there are just certain numbers of gatekeepers that can get your music on TV. Now, imagine if it was just as simple or as easy as reaching out to fellow YouTube contributors that are obviously getting ad revenue and they have maybe subscriber revenue, and you can do direct deals with them to license your music to them. So, or, you know, whatever, it's virtual reality developers or video game developers that are developing really crazy, unique experiences. So, you know, the floodgates are starting to be completely burst open now, and that doesn't mean that just success and money is going to be running all over the place. It's going to mean actually you'll have to work harder. It's not going to be easier. It will mean that you have to work harder, but for those that can be business minded, those that can go directly approach people and put together you know, some sensible deals for people to license your music, those will be the people that will be rewarded by doing this, not the people that are sitting on the sidelines waiting to be discovered, as we've talked about many times. So you're gonna have to be very assertive in this new environment and wherever it goes. But no, I still feel like very, very optimistic about the future of this industry for sure. Wherever it leads us, it might lead us in crazy places. Who knows? Is it a good idea to have a dedicated web page on your own website to showcase some of your tracks ready for licensing to companies? Sure, absolutely. It'll make you look much more professional. I mean, you can just do a straight SoundCloud link if you want to, but if you can go create your own site, maybe through Wix or, you know, Squarespace or something like that, whatever you want to design your site with, absolutely, it'll make you look that much more professional, and maybe they'll take you a little more seriously. So yeah, if you got the resources and the know-how to do that, definitely. What do you think about putting your lesser tracks on a couple of RF sites rather than doing nothing with them? RF sites, royalty-free sites. Gotcha. Lesser tracks. You know what? Just the way that that's phrased, lesser tracks. Like, if you're not happy with it, I wouldn't put it out. Like, that's a better way to look at it. If you're not happy with the quality of the track, I wouldn't put it out anywhere, because if it's going to be associated with you and your name, why would you want something that's lesser to be out there, right? Rather than just put lesser stuff out anywhere, put better stuff out, right? I think that's the better approach there. Currently on copyright material, and then I'm going to submit to the masses. Okay, cool. What do you think of Studio One to record? Never used it. Heard cool things. Got at least 1 or 2 members that use it. They say cool things, but I've never used it. Got Tech. You believe the video that I did what you said, the fastest way, shouldn't say the fastest way, but an effective way to get your songs placed is pretty much making songs that's similar. Okay, I'm not exactly sure which one, which video you're talking about. Um, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of confused by your comment. If you want to try it again and be a little more concise there, I don't really know what you're referring to. If you got any placements on indie films, what are your thoughts on reaching out to up and coming filmmakers? Yeah, I definitely, that was one I was talking about with my IMDb credit. It was an indie webisode thing. I've also done an indie film. It was 2014. I got pulled on, my buddy and I, we did the music for that one. So it was cool. It's just, it was a lot of work. I mean, that was a lot of work because it was like they would give us basically 10 minutes at a time parts of the movie, and then we had to compose for different scenes. And it was just a constant back and forth. It was like, you know, we thought we had something nailed. We'd send it to the director and he's like, yeah, that's cool, but no, try this. And then a lot of times he couldn't give us like direct references or like temp tracks that we could follow along. It was just, he would try to describe what he wanted. So if you've got somebody that's got temp tracks and they've got references and they can give you a direct, you know, exactly what they're looking for, man, it's fun. It's really rewarding and it's great. But it can also be very like long hours, composing for the same scene 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different times. I mean, literally like wiping out what you did, trying something completely new. Because if you give them something and they have a lot of notes for it, 9 times out of 10, they didn't like it, but they don't want to just tell you to restart and try something new. So you might get stuck in like revision hell where it's just like, okay, now I do this, now I do that. And 7 revisions in, they finally say, you know, we just don't really like it. Let's try something new. Meanwhile, that was a whole day gone. And sometimes they'll contract you for a one-time fee for everything. So be careful what you commit to, because it could take up weeks and weeks of your time. And if you're not really satisfied with that upfront fee that you got for all that work and all those hours, then you're not going to be doing so well. Now, some people who want to actually get into actual composing, where you actually are pulling in, you know, video files into your DAW and actually composing directly for the film, that's a kind of a different skill set than what I teach here. Okay, what I teach here is typically about making tracks, submitting them to libraries, getting them placed on TV shows. So it's a different thing. I don't know what you call us, music producers. I don't know. You know, we're not necessarily composers. Composers is a very distinct and separate skill set. And that's why, you know, if you're going to go into the trailer world or the orchestral world, you know, that kind of is where you pretty much start landing, is you start scoring custom for certain projects and stuff. And I do that very rarely. Once in a while, maybe a custom gig will come through where there's but it's like a commercial, right? It's like a Ford car commercial, and they're sending me the animations for it. And so I'm actually coming up with something for that. But that's not necessarily like, I mean, I guess you can call that composing, but whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different terms for what we do. So, do I have a book or a course that can be purchased? Yeah, you can learn about all of that stuff underneath this video. There is, let me look at it right now. I got a directory you can download there. I've got my website, which if you go to my website, you can find out all about, I have a master course. I have a syndicate program where I'm doing mentorship. I'm providing feedback, doing exclusive tutorials, and kind of basically giving you guys more of a hands-on sort of mentorship through this industry as you get started. I do have obviously licensing opportunities that you can submit to as well. But most of the syndicate group is really about if, you know, you need some more guidance. You just don't know what you're doing. Like you're producing tracks and you think it's good, but you're not getting accepted, or you're not really knowing if you're heading in the right direction. And also the cool thing about it is that when I have these, like I've been having some of these one-time licensing gigs where it's like, you know, I even had one that paid as much as $1,000 for a 10-second cue. So, and it was, I think that was the one, it was a 24-hour turnaround. So it's like, I needed your track in 24 hours. Granted, 10 seconds, not that long, but I needed this thing done super fast. And it was kind of a cool exercise for a lot of the members to go through, because they'd never been through something like that. And so just having sort of a real world experience of how fast this business can sometimes go, you know, a lot of them made mistakes. They did things kind of the wrong way or whatever. And then at the end of it, you know, we awarded one member, obviously, that was Ben. He ended up getting it. But for the rest of them, we had a cool little like sort of post-mortem where we kind of like broke down, all right, so what happened? What was that like for you? And, you know, and we also talked about noticing how their motivation really kicked through the roof as soon as they had like a deadline and a budget that they wanted to work for, right? So, you know, we talked a lot about productivity. and how to make sure that you deliver exactly what people want, because there was a reference track given. So we talked about how to make sure, like, you know, after the gig, let's go back. All right, let's listen back to this reference track. Some of you guys were not nailing it. Why weren't you nailing it? And then we just broke down the reference track. So that's the kind of thing that you're getting with the syndicate. You're getting a sort of like hands-on approach to what it takes to succeed, really, how to beat the competition. And that's really what it is. So yeah, you can click on that link below this video to find out more about that. Do I use a virtual instrument for my drum sounds? Absolutely. Yeah. Plugins are definitely good enough for TV film, man. For my drums, I use Steven Slate. It's a library you can get with Contact. So I highly recommend Steven Slate. It's a great sound. Do I think it's worth going to Sync Summit in LA? You know, that's one of those organizations that I've known a little bit about. I haven't followed them too closely, but I mean, if they're offering to kind of give you some further information and get you a little bit more inside to talking to maybe some more insiders in this industry, why not? You know, if it's not going to be completely out of your way, you're not going to throw down a fortune to get to it. I don't know what they charge. I don't know any of that kind of stuff. So anything that'll help you sort of like keep, a lot of times it's not even so much about going to these places thinking you're going to like network with somebody and get an inside connection. It's really just about going to a place and being surrounded by like-minded people, spending time away from your day-to-day life and really focusing on this, making sure it's your priority. That's one of the biggest benefits to leaving and going to a seminar or a trade show or something like that. Is this an occupation that will require you to work another job, or this can be full-time? I'm doing it full-time, man. I've been doing it full-time for nearly 10 years. Took me a couple of years before I got to the point where my income could sustain me. And during those years, yeah, I had other jobs. I was a freelancer. I've done video production work. And so during those couple of years, I had some corporate video production gigs that I was doing to make ends meet until my royalties started taking off. I also cut down big on my monthly expenses. So I moved into a smaller apartment. Not necessarily a smaller apartment, but a less expensive apartment. And so, you know, you got to sort of like make ends meet, obviously. And I never say to, I would say to all of you guys, don't do this if you don't have like a big chunk of savings, right, ready to go. I wouldn't jump into this full time right now unless you have something else that can float you, right? Be reasonable, be responsible, especially if you got a family and stuff like that. But it can absolutely be done in your weekends and evenings. You can absolutely start building up your catalog now, even if you have a full-time job to get there. But it's not going to be easy. You got to work hard. And that's another thing with the syndicate, is obviously that you got a group of people that are logging in every day, encouraging each other. In fact, I just had one guy that just now within the last hour said that he got his first royalty check. So everybody's giving him a big high five. And so that's, I mean, you hear these kind of stories on a pretty consistent basis. So it keeps everybody very motivated. And, you know, for me, it's awesome just to see that people are making moves in this business. So it's really cool. What do I think about hit license and music dealers for track submissions? Are they legit or worth it? Hit license, music dealers, don't know a lot about them. I'd have to look a little bit more. I know who they are, obviously, but I don't know how they do their business. So I couldn't say anything that educated on them right now. You've been asked by a library to upload your album to them. It has long songs. Should the next song is meant to be shorter? Yeah, 2 to 3 minutes. That's typically where you want to keep all your tracks for libraries. So, but congrats for them. If somebody's asking you for music, man, that's a good sign. If they're asking for you to submit stuff, you're on the right track there. So, all right, guys, I got to get off now. I think I've gotten through all the questions that are posted thus far. So thank you, guys. Not happy that I didn't get my HD. But whatever, I'll try to figure this out. I don't know if it's my video card or internet or whatever, but thank you guys for being a part of the test, and stay tuned tomorrow morning, bright and early, probably again 6:30, 7 a.m. Pacific time. I know maybe I'm earlier than most of you guys want it to be, but that's when I get my day started. So that's when I'm going to get it started. And so hopefully most of you guys can join. So we'll catch you guys bright and early. See ya.